Did you know that there was a time in Appalachian and US history where they gave incarcerated people knives so that they could slaughter animals? Let's talk about prison farms because it's so interesting. So by the late 1800s and early 1900s, prison farms across the United States, including Appalachia, they were expected to be more self-sustaining. You didn't have the grocery stores and infrastructure you have today where food can be transported. So prisons had to grow their own food. They had to raise their own animals to sustain and feed the people within the prisons. So a lot of you have mentioned that you've heard of hog killing days. And that was basically a time of year where people who raised hogs in the late fall and winter when it was cool, they would get together and they would just slaughter the hogs and process them, and it was a community thing. So on prison farms, they also practiced this. Convicts were assigned to slaughtering and butchering work. They used the same sharp tools used on family farms: long knives, blades for cutting, skinning, and processing the meats. It was just standard practice. And today you might look back on that and be like, they gave the convicts knives? Supervision was very, very strict. There was a lot of abuse and mistreatment of people on these prison farms, but resources were limited. Guards relied on control, routine, and punishment rather than physical restraint. The system assumed that hunger, exhaustion, and discipline were enough to prevent resistance, and they were very cruel to people who were in these prison farms. In Appalachia, the system mirrored traditional farm labor, but without consent. The same seasonal knowledge used by families in Appalachia was applied inside of prisons under coercion. The idea of giving incarcerated people knives sounds shocking today because it's just, you're giving people who murdered people knives to slaughter animals. But prison farms, they depended on trust just enough to extract labor while denying freedom entirely. And they were very, very, I'll talk about it more. They were really awful to these prisoners. By the mid-20th century, some prison farms reduced on-site slaughtering as industrial food systems expanded. But prison labor, it never disappeared. We still have it today. It's just different. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting that people had to survive even inside of prisons. And sometimes that required prisoners to grow their own food and slaughter their own animals to eat them.